Welcome to our today's podcast, Unleash Yourself. And I have the pleasure to have my guest here, which is Olena Sochnikova. Hello, Olena. How are you today?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me to your wonderful podcast, Unleash Yourself. So I'm doing great. So what about you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. It's been a good day. So thank you for accepting my invitation to be part of this podcast, in which we center around the brain and how the brain works. And we have known each other since CIGES in 2023 at the Neurolanguage conference in Barcelona, CIGES. Who was Olena before that, and especially during the pandemic?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Who was Olena? Olena was still a woman, searching for her path, her philosophy, and thinking how she could make a tiny difference in this world. And yes, back then I was already certified, accredited advanced Neurolanguage coach, as we met in CIGES for this wonderful conference. And that's interesting that the journey had started during the pandemic. And as you remember, we all of a sudden we found ourselves locked at home. And back then I was already a teacher certified by Trinity College of London. I taught in ministries and other institutions here in Italy in presence and was collaborating with different companies. But I definitely remember that time when my soul craved for something different. And all of a sudden, I found the course of becoming a Neurolanguage coach. However, may I just share with you this information, this piece of information I checked that, and the information that I found that the course is starting like tomorrow. And I said, wow, that's not enough time for me to sign up for this course. That was my belief. I closed the PC, I went to sleep. Believe me or not, I had a dream that our lovely, great, phenomenal woman, Rachel, I saw her in my dream. And I asked her in my dream, Rachel, do you still have a space for me? Because I want to attend your course. And she replied in my dream, are you still not with me? You must sign up. Please go. We have a space for you. We have that free spot and it's yours. And very next morning I woke up, I sent an email and checked again if I know it's already begin today. And can I just ask you if I can join? And of course, they say, yes, we have a space and it's yours. And so that's the journey started. My journey of Neurolanguage as a Neurolanguage coach has started. And by the way, in CIGES, I met Rachel in presence, in person, and I shared with her this story, how actually the signs from, I don't know whether it's a subconscious mind, whether it's the universe, or someone guided me through this journey. So, and where exactly then we met.
Thank you. How did this Neurolanguage coaching education affect your teaching?
Well, actually, there was something like inner calling in me, and I was a teacher, yes, and knowing and learning about the techniques and our emotional intelligence system, our brain, how it perceives the information. Simply how do we communicate it actually changed a lot, because the way personally I started communicating with people, with my learners, different professionals, because I mostly work with adults, definitely changed the perspective. And absolutely, I saw different feedback from my learners, my clients. First of all, actually, it I became calmer. I really understood how the power of words and the power of efficient communication could change the process. Even, um,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, we still have a lot to do, and the learner maybe is not having this higher level of the language and so on. This is not a problem at all. So basically it taught me to really see the bigger perspective and to really break it down into smaller chunks. And what is the most important for me personally, yet again, it highlighted the importance for me. How can we collaborate together? And definitely for the trainer, for the teacher, for the coach, it's important that learner will take their ownership of their learning
Mm-hmm.
process. It's fundamental. Not being directive, that's as important too, but supporting, wisely supporting your client. And the most important is psychological safety, that I've been trained to, and I apply this. And of course, I'm still in the process of creating that environment, non judgmental, and creating that psychological safety where exactly the learner, the client could unleash their full
Mm-hmm.
potential, because there is the trust. And that trust and that
Mm-hmm.
rapport must be built from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, and of course,
Thank
it
you.
influences the
Mm-hmm.
state of the learner, inner state, emotional state. When the
Mm-hmm.
learner is, or the client is feeling calm, then the learning process starts, and it's ongoing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not about making mistake, even though mistakes are welcomed. And it's
Mm-hmm.
another avenues, right? It's another perspective and approach of learning per se. Mistakes are great.
Right.
Yes,
Right. Right. We learned from them actually.
absolutely.
How has Elena been since that 2023 Neurolanguage conference? What new transformations have you done in your
Mhm.
life, in your teaching journey?
Never stop learning and discovering yourself. That's what I can say. And to self discover, unleashing yourself. I think that is the
Mm-hmm.
part of my philosophy too. And I started really asking myself, who am I? And what else I can do for the rest? Yeah, what else I can bring? And
Mm-hmm.
working with professionals, actually, to be honest with you, helped me to discover what is missing, what is maybe where is the gap, what is not enough in this world. Corporate world in my case, yeah, because I would like to just to highlight, I do work closely with the different professionals from different walks of lives and different organizations, different countries. And I sat down and started asking myself questions like self coaching. I don't know, you can say that. I think so, right?
Right.
It took a while. It took a while, and I came up with the philosophy. Definitely, it's leadership based on my background, my story of my life, and that is a self leadership. Because I believe that everyone is the leader person in their own
Mm-hmm.
way, and there is something which is maybe missing, unleashing the potential. Maybe someone, they cannot really recognize that they have their potential, and they hide it, and this is
Correct.
shouldn't be. And I designed the philosophy, so bringing principle central leadership to the world and unleashing human potential. So this is the power of words as an unleashing.
Mm-hmm.
And
How
I
do you
started thinking,
actually do that with with your clients? How do you actually do that? And what, if I may say, what techniques do you use?
wow, it's all about really. I took another avenue. First of all, let me tell you that, and that neuro-language coaching is, yes, I'm doing that absolutely. And there is another avenue that I've discovered, thanks to my clients, is a leadership and efficient communication. and creating their leadership program with them. And again, it's a part of coaching, right? So we are co-creating their program. So we are discovering what they want to build, what kind of skills they want to build, what kind of techniques can we apply, models can we apply with them, what is missing right now for them to feel maybe more confident and
Mm-hmm.
unleashing their potential. Because sometimes it's interesting, even yesterday, I had a wonderful client, and he has 10 years of experience in the field of renewable energy. And when you highlight, say, yes, you are professional, he doesn't believe. Why? Because there's the word belief. Maybe in the field, he doesn't receive that positive feedback. And we know that positive feedback
Right.
from the coaching perspective and for our brain is fundamental. And the study shows that receiving a portion of positive feedback is like the brain perceives it is like a financial remuneration. We are greedy for that. We don't give it to our professionals at work in the field. We don't think it's important, but it is because it somehow creates and forms the belief system, and the person starts perceiving him or herself in that way. So maybe, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not yet professional, I'm not that, even having tremendous amount of experience. And the belief system is different, so it's called limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So we are working, of course, through the questions, powerful questions, analyzing, co-creating what exactly the client needs at the moment, whether it's assertive communication, whether techniques of public speaking, working with voice and intonation, as this is as well when you, maybe it happened to you, it happened to me, by the way. That's why maybe it's based on my experience and the feelings what I've lived personally, right? So when you have an idea,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard to verbalize, no one will hear, no one will understand that. So really putting it into words and having that, cultivating perhaps sometimes that courage to voice what you would love to say, what you would love to bring to the world. Unleashing, yes, I'm repeating this
Mm-hmm.
word again, unleashing your inner potential. And of course, the core is belief. So working, let me tell you that most of the clients, they have um, this kind of limiting belief system that we work with them first,
Yeah.
unleashing those or
Mm-hmm.
discovering first of all
Mm-hmm.
their limiting beliefs, because the most and the fundamental step is to really understand, yes, I do have those limiting beliefs, and believe me or not, it's difficult too, because not
Mm-hmm.
many people love to admit, yes, this is a limiting belief and it's mine too.
Correct. Correct.
Right. So acknowledging and underlying with the positive intention. We are not
Mm-hmm.
faking. We are not turning a blind eye and saying, "Oh, that's okay." That's no. We are highlighting, acknowledging it, and with the positive intention, because there's something that we can work on it and
Mm-hmm.
definitely transform for better. So yes, and then it's transition into effective communication and self leadership development in the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important as well to see always the cause and effect, because it's all
Mm-hmm.
about the law of cause and effect. Whatever we do in our life, we always have the cause and then we see the effect.
Tell me more about that.
Well, it's interesting. I will get back to you a little bit to the belief system, right? But a cause and effect
Mm-hmm.
is somehow relates to that too, because it's all interlaced like silk with cotton. It's very subtle. And study says that there are four main causes that we have. And sometimes, and I'm sharing just based as well on my experiences,
Sure.
and I'm talking about this on my podcast about cause and effect and limiting beliefs and the power of words. And when we want to change something in our life, it shouldn't be something huge even. The first thing we need to understand the cause. And it requires some mental effort to really sit down and analyze, maybe put down something on a piece of paper. So some time and dedication. So I call them a little bit metaphorically just to make it more understandable
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
maybe to have fun, to cast a little bit of laughter, not always taken so seriously. And the first is the past causes, or I call them the history detectives. So, what does it mean? So, all those past situations that happened with you or to you in the past. And that's why, for example, you are behaving the effect, right, in this way. For example, let me give you still example. In
Mm-hmm.
the past,
Right.
I was cheated for my ex, so now I have a trust issues. Past cause, effect now, I have trust issues unless I recognize that, support it, maybe having a support from the right person and charge emotionally and really giving some input to it. Otherwise, I'll live with that forever.
Mm-hmm.
Take it or leave it. Yeah. So then
Right.
there is another cause, which, of course, if you draw the timeline, right? So the past cause and then the present. So basically, the present causes are environment scanner. Yeah, if we have kind of a machine like environment scanner. So what does it mean, right? These are ongoing conditions that are keeping your system the way it is. Think about that, right? So it's not a single event; it's ongoing, continuous situations. For example, I can't find the job because the economy is so bad, right? So I want to
Okay.
become confident and I keep hanging out with the negative people, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to really understand what are the present causes that giving me that effect, or maybe not giving me that effect. And then if you move to what do you think, which kind of will be next cause? Past, present, and
Mm-hmm. The future, of course.
the future. This is the funny one because a study said that the most successful people are focusing on the future, but the cause lies in the present. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I will share with you my personal. I want to become an international public speaker. So, what is my future? Right? So, vision puller, by the way. Yeah, I didn't say it in a metaphorical way.
Mm-hmm.
So, vision puller. But the cause lies in the present. What am I doing right now? So I'm attending, for example,
Or even in the
courses,
past.
uh, or even in the past, could be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So vision puller. What is your vision puller? I see myself. I want to become, for example, international public speaker. So I'm doing now work on it. Right? I'm practicing. I'm delivering speech. I will learn from mistake. Whatever. Right? I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
by hook or by crook, by mistakes, and learning from that, but slowly, slowly moving towards that vision puller. Yeah, so that's important to understand. So, or some people might say, I'm studying hard in order to get scholarship. Vision puller.
Okay.
Make sense?
Right.
Let me know.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, it
So,
does.
yeah, okay. So basically, what the future outcome that is driving your current behavior,
Mm-hmm.
cause and effect. By the way, in this past, the most of the people they're living in those past causes. I live there too. I'm human.
I think
Um,
everyone lives in the
I'm
past at
learning
a
from my
certain
mistakes,
extent.
and that's why I want
Right.
to share because I do care. Because I wish that someone said it to me a little bit earlier, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
I've discovered by myself. Number
Thank you.
four.
Mm-hmm.
Number four, it's really, I would say, Fundamental. Yeah, so and it's like foundation builder in the metaphorical way of saying number the course number 4, it's
Mm-hmm.
foundation builder. What does it mean? It's a core belief. This is the deepest level. And this type of course is all about your core assumptions and belief system,
Mm-hmm.
how it shapes your reality, forms your reality. First of all, what perceptions and beliefs you have about yourself, the rest of the world, the people you are getting in touch with, right? So, for example, in business, how as well it might work, or in any other practices, if you believe that all new ideas are too risky, what it will be the effect?
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe you will what? Struggle to innovate, right? You will have that, you will start cultivating that fear, stagnation, resistance. That's your belief. And the more you give energy and thoughts, yeah, the more it's supported with energy and emotions, especially, the more it wired. And you
Mm-hmm.
start calling it with the time fate. So you stop analyzing that, oh, it's actually my belief. No, you will start understanding it will be part of you. And you start simply call, oh, it's a fate. It happened, or it's like this, it's like that. So
Right.
again, yes, so that's important to understand those kind of causing our reality, creating, sorry, our reality and
Mm-hmm.
shaping our reality.
Okay, but
So this is
now I'm
about the cause and
interested.
effect. Yeah.
Right. Now I'm interested in the mindset. The
Mm-hmm.
how does mindset influence the way that we learn things? Because the podcast is centered about the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So why is mindset important, and um, how do you actually uh, take that into consideration in the clients you work with?
Mm-hmm. Um, First of all, when you work with people, first of all, you have to work on your mindset and to really unleashing it, giving that possibility the room to see beyond and train it. It won't come overnight. The mindset, of course, we have as a growth mindset, as you know from the Carl Dweck, and the fixed mindset. And you recognize by the patterns of words that people use, yes, the expressions, you could recognize by the intonation, by voice, by facial expressions. And especially this is the magic, oh, I can't do that, I'm not able, or I don't know, help me with, maybe you have in your practice kind of this negation.
I cannot learn English. I'm too
I
old
cannot learn,
for
for
to
example,
learn
right? I'm too
English.
old, by
Yeah,
the way, right? I'm too old.
it's too
Um,
complicated. Yeah,
it's too complicated, or it's something maybe, especially when something is new, they feel a little bit like defensive. Yeah.
right.
So, and this is a mindset. Of course, we do need to attack. Yeah. And with the permission to explain.
Hmm.
Explain that it's normal to have that feeling, perhaps. Yes, because it's something new. And when something is new, the brain that perceives, what does it say, the brain to you? Go back home. Yeah, go back where you were before because it is safe,
Comfortable.
some comfortable. Yes, something that I already know. You don't need anything else. Why? It's
Hmm.
painful. Yeah, but you're not your brain. You can definitely trick that. And bringing that bit by bit, explaining, of course, with the permission, trying, making mistakes, and
Hmm.
important that seeing even the tiny results, supporting with the positive feedback, acknowledging that trials. acknowledging then the mistakes even. The person sees the dynamic, sees the result. And it's somehow it's with the time, it's like click, and the person stops being that resistant. So I won't say that the mindset will change in overnight. Yeah,
It's
so
impossible. Yeah.
it's impossible, but it's a process. And as a coach, as a trainer, um, we have to be patient. We have to understand. We have to see beyond. We have to apply our empathy. And because that is a belief too, yes, because somehow the person created that belief, I can't do that. But there is the magic word yet comes in, and well, why not to change it, right? I can't do it, or I maybe can't do it yet, but let's give it a go. And automatically the brain starts mm, giving, maybe, I don't know, that maybe not will be the right word to say, but giving you the possibility at least to hear something. When you say, oh, I can't do it,
Right.
it shuts and it doesn't want to accept anything because you already told your brain, and the brain perceives only you.
Hmm.
Maybe changing the wordings first of all, using this tiny magic word yet. I can't do it yet, uh, but let me give it a go. Let's try. So that changes, I would say, the big change will come from the words we use as the power of words. As you know, the words are fundamental and they have energy. They have a huge impact on us, on what we say, because it generates as a thoughts produces the what um, emotions, emotional words, actions, and then the reactions. So, and I would say really showing the empathy, because that's where you could definitely show to your client, I'm with you. And that psychological safety, remember we spoke about earlier, that you created the room for experiment. Not yet, not
Hmm.
tomorrow, maybe not today, not tomorrow, but with the time, let's give it a go, let's give it a try.
All
So
right.
I
Thank
would
you.
say that is fundamental to acknowledge when you work with people, with clients, and provide the support with
Hmm.
empathy.
Olena, I would like to ask, what are the who is actually, or who are your clients primarily, and how
Mhm.
do you integrate, neuroscience in your work?
Mhm. My clients mostly are professionals or C-suite executives from different organizations from Italy and Germany
Mm.
and MENA region. So basically, they work in renewable energy or in tech industries, mm, telecommunication, and so on. And how do we integrate? Is first of all understanding the nature. So that first of all for me is important. So understanding the needs is one thing. And to really, we are built of emotions. And the emotional intelligence here comes handy when they need to present something or to advocate or to negotiate. The most important is the self-regulation and emotional self-regulation. And there is no one specific remedy because each and every one is different.
Hmm.
And analyzing and again trying, showing the different perspectives, different avenues that we can try this or those techniques or method, building the tailor-made technique for the specific client. And this showing and explaining with the permission how our limbic system works and those our emotions, right? Where and how that could be unhelpful and as well could be as an impediment in business. Um,
Right.
and really practicing a lot, and having those possibility and flexibility to change something on the go when something doesn't really work out for that specific client. Because that's the thing, we don't need to stick to one specific technique or one specific module. Yeah, so there is the variety, and given the room, the opportunity to client to try. So that's let's say having the choice, because our brain loves the choices, what
Hmm.
could work best for the client.
Okay. And what are the most common um, limiting beliefs your clients come with and
Mm.
barriers in the learning process?
Hmm. It might sound interesting and funny because they all having kind of high ranking positions, but confidence. Confidence still is under the question mark.
Mm.
Again, even though they have a tremendous amount of experience working across cultures, and I'm not confident. My voice doesn't transmit what I really want to share. I feel really small in the room, even when they have a power. So that's the interesting thing that I've discovered, that still the question of confidence is on a big question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it could be somehow a past experiences. Remember, we spoke about the cause and effect, yes,
Right.
and the foundation builder. So it's all related to it. And that's beautiful as well, because remember, we said to acknowledge that and to really work with that. Because it's not about becoming confident overnight. It's about having the tools and technique that you can use whenever you need to present something, to justify, to negotiate, to speak in public simply.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I would say, the most common belief about themselves, lack of confidence. And of course, when it comes to the language, even though they have a good range, good level of language, they do not believe that they can, that they are doing that. They do not believe that it's enough. Just it requires some, maybe a little bit of learning, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of unlearning, a little bit of trying something more, unleashing their inner potential. So that, I would say, they believe they have about themselves, and what exactly holding them back most of the
Mm-hmm.
times.
That sounds to me like an imposter syndrome because they're experts
Yeah.
in one area, but at the
Hmm.
same in language, they feel, or in other areas, they feel they're not at the same level of expertise.
Right.
So then they don't feel there. So how do you deal with this imposter syndrome? Uh, if you can talk about a case scenario if you had recently, without naming, of course, but.
Hmm.
How did you actually work with or how do you actually work with a professional like that faces this imposter syndrome?
Well, imposter syndrome is very tough topic, and I had it too.
Yeah.
Maybe somehow I do still have that kind of friend. But what I've learned here is to accept and admit, okay, you exist, it's fine, keep existing next to me. If it's okay with you, exist. I do my job. If you want, you can do your job, literally. But to not let it go in front of you.
What do you mean by that?
So, your imposter syndrome is going, in front of you and you somewhere behind. Maybe not today. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe that, because imposter syndrome is more important. So to not give that importance, because we give sometimes more importance to it. And that's why
Mhm.
we create that resistance, sabotaging. And it's a transformative process, I would say. First of all, it's very individual, working with different clients, and you have to really read the person. What does it mean? Emotions, the language they use, the pattern they use,
Mhm.
facial expressions, the body language simply. Because when it's, oh, I'm not, it's like something or someone is squeezing them. That's you have to recognize that. Uh, Talking about that with the permission. I've noticed that and that and that. What do you think about that? And once they feel safe and not judged, they start, yes, I've thought about that too. I have this and that and that. Fantastic. Encouragement. Let's work with that. And of course, through coaching questions, through analyzing, creating their own action plans, and really uh, severely checking on that what they can do, one small step towards overcoming that situation. So it's a lot of empowerment, embracing an opportunity. So just changing the perspective, or we call it reframing.
Mhm. Right.
And sometimes, right, just maybe asking some vision questions, especially I would say vision questions, just to see how that might be different in a year, or maybe, I don't know, in 3 months even. And whether you will feel more comfortable finding yourself in the same situation, or maybe a little bit different, let's say in 3 4 months. So I would say it's really taking proactive steps together and towards the growth. Because what does it mean, imposter syndrome per se? It's a belief, working on belief system through specific techniques, coaching processes, through some exercises with the care and support, and reframing sometimes, right? So, and maybe analyzing, these are not my beliefs. It's and that's why I've created this imposter syndrome, right? The history detective. Remember, we discussed today the history detective. So, what was the cause? And of course, reframing till
How do
you
you
create.
reframe? How do you reframe things
Um,
with your
let's
client?
Right. Basically, based on their pattern of belief, what they have, what kind of the belief they have, and so what does it mean, right? It's like limiting belief, acknowledging that with positive intention, and creating that update. Like we update software on our phone or computer. We need that update. We need to update our software, and of course, um, creating that other belief, new belief.
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe I could just share with you my experience. Mm,
Sure, that would be great for our listeners.
right, maybe I would say once I had, well, I didn't do enough, or I didn't really achieve what I wanted to achieve, and I was suffering from that. And then I created the reframing. You did your best with the tools what you had. Yes, you didn't achieve something, but there is still a room and the desire and the passion to move on. Analyze what didn't work and create a new step. For example, um, really unpleasant situation happened to me in my life,
Mm-hmm.
And instead of asking, oh, why did it happen to me? What does it want to show me? Is that kind of stagnation that I had, is it something I'm bad, I'm not good enough, I'm not that, I'm not professional, I'm that and that and that, XYZ. And instead of that, I reframed in my brain. This is the moment for you to really recreate, transfer, transition maybe into something different. See from like helicopter view, what does it show to you? What
Mm-hmm.
would you like maybe to create on this in this moment? That space you're given so far that you call stagnation, maybe it's not that. And it's exactly the opportunity, because most of the time we feel as a problem, as an obstacle, instead of opportunity. So I reframed and constantly reminded myself that it's an opportunity for me to create something new, to try, to give it a go. So that's kind of a reframing based on the situation each and everyone might face.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is not me creating the new pattern, is that the person must feel, how can I reframe it? And again, it's not faking it, it's just acknowledging that and creating
Mm-hmm.
this new mental uh, connection that just constantly telling your brain in a different way. We all been trained to think in a negative way. Why don't we start thinking in a little bit different way? And then we have a cause and effect. We have effect on our emotional state. Emotional state is our body. And if we have the right state, we have the right opportunities because we have that energy that we emanate.
Mm-hmm.
So reframing, it's very, I would say, individual process based on the belief that the person has.
Right, and then you mentioned something about the first step. Why is important, like an to have an actionable step
Mm-hmm.
in that direction that you want to go to?
Um, Again, as well, if the person wants to change something, because change per se, it's a difficult word, right? We all love, maybe we can write something down, we can acknowledge, we can write the plan. Oh, looks fantastic on paper, phenomenal, which is good. Even sometimes it's fantastic in my brain, it sounds great or it looks great, and that's it. And the action steps, maybe here is the most difficult part. What is the first tiny steps that you can do, I can do towards?
Exactly.
And that's exactly where we need our mental effort, because you need to act.
Mm-hmm.
And taking action is sometimes require the courage, and it requires some different perspectives. Maybe the way you need to talk is different. Maybe the way you need to write is different. Maybe the way you need just to um, voice something or present something is different. Maybe you just simply need to call someone and it's already action, which is always difficult for the brain because it's something new. Here we need as well the energy, the dopamine level as well, right? Our neurotransmitters. And at least to show to your brain, okay, we have the plan, we analyze that. What next? What's the first tiny step? Because most of the clients, they think big, which is good, but they underestimate the small
Exactly.
steps. And small steps, actually, it's already a huge beginning towards that desired outcome. Even working with, especially I would say, working with imposter syndrome. Simply maybe rehearsing, simply maybe trying to say it differently, try to use different words and try to use different intonation, doing some exercises, applying that into a realistic environment. That's already a huge step because that the brain starts acknowledging that okay, you're doing something different, so it's not that new anymore, and it starts perceiving that oh, okay, I like that, so it starts wiring and it's creating the new normal, and then it's easier even for you. So that action, I would say never underestimate the small steps of your desired
Right.
outcome.
Right. Now, talking about, from your experience, can you mention a transformative situation or story you had recently with one of your
Personally,
clients?
with one of my clients,
With one of your clients, yes.
yes, actually, we are working with one of the clients, and he is a C-suite executive in one reputable company, and he has constantly to negotiate, to persuade, and so on. And
Hmm.
he actually came with the request again with the confidence, despite having a tremendous amount of experience, and is again he's a real professional, so he knows what he's talking about, when and
Right.
how. But there was something missing. Something is actually missing, and what was really affecting his confidence is the status, because he
Hmm.
felt a little bit less confident when we spoke to the board members, directors in the different countries. Believe me or not, when we start analyzing, and by the way, next week he's giving the presentation in Berlin, and
Hmm.
the language he uses a lot of this tentative language. Perhaps, maybe, possibly, let's try. And if you see when I use this language, perhaps, you see my body language. I'm closing myself, right? So perhaps, maybe, and I don't know if you wish to say this to with me, perhaps I still change my facial expression. Or perhaps, maybe, possibly, let's try. That, of course, it was tiny again, tiny step when we acknowledge that, right? Just
Hmm.
maybe avoiding that, or paraphrasing, reframing. And when we did some work, and I asked him to really think, how could he say differently, avoiding this tentative language? And I asked him to say to me as if I was one of team members or board members. His voice changed, his intonation, his body, like his posture
Right.
changed. So that again is just the beginning, right? Because I just started working with him, but that showed me that it goes beyond simply the language. It goes something to do with their perception, with understanding, with self-belief, and the words we use definitely affect how we behave. So that intonation changed, voice had changed, the posture,
Hmm.
and the message that he wants to get across started sounding more bold, decisive. And when he reflected and when he gave the feedback, he said, I didn't realize that. So that sounds something tiny, right? Or silly, maybe, but it's not. It's the
Correct.
foundation. And it's just a tiny case, right? So that's what
Hmm.
I can share. Um, I would say building, co-creating with the clients their leadership program or communication program through the language that they need at this moment and the actions that they need to take. together, of course, right? So being as a coach, as a trainer, and given the right amount of support, creating that psychological safety and non-judgmental environment makes a big difference. But really seeing a little bit beyond, yes, and not really having one size fits all tailor
Approach.
made,
Right.
right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Think because we're closing to our final word. Do you have a
Mhm.
word for our listeners?
Yes, I would love to say that remember, you're not the victim of your circumstances. You're a creator of your experiences. And once Andrew Murphy said, you're confined only by the walls you built yourself. Believe in yourself, and it's a full time job with no days off. This is my message to the audience.
Thank you so
And
much.
listen yourself.
Thank you so much, Olena. This has been incredibly insightful. And for our listeners who are inspired and want to learn more about you, where they can find you.
Well, definitely through my email address and LinkedIn profile, and they can write me as well or comment on my YouTube channel, in my podcast. Sharing is caring.
All right. Thank you very much. We will link
Thank
all
you.
the links below.
Yes,
And yeah,
yes.
I really appreciate your time. And thank you once again.
Thank you so much. And don't forget, unleash yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you.